to discuss the much debated topic, the Uniform Civil Code. So, we are going to discuss the pros and cons of the Uniform Civil Code and how the world would look like if there is a UCC or if there is not a UCC. Today there are legal experts who are going to join us. So, for the audience, let's first begin to understand what is a Uniform Civil Code. So, Uniform Civil Code is basically replacing religious and customary laws regarding marriage, divorce, and inheritance, and bringing a uniform or same law for all the religions. Now, this has sparked a lot of debate among the religious communities and the tribal communities, and it is also a very sensitive topic if we take a look back at it, because there are so many personal laws in India, like the Hindu law and the Muslim personal law, which have different criteria and rules for their religion. So, why everyone were discussing about the Uniform Civil Code? Well, the latest debate was triggered by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who stressed that there is a need for UCC to BJP party workers in June 2023. Before this, the 22nd Law Commission of India issued a public notice seeking comments on the UCC. Now, this came as a surprise given as the 21st Law Commission, after many months of public discussion, concluded that a UCC was neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. The 22nd Law Commission's primary justification for the re examination was more than 3 years had passed since the previous report. So, currently the UCC has not been given validation, or there, there has been no discussion whether it will be implemented or not. But today we will see what happens if UCC comes into play. So now it's a very hypothetical situation to begin with, because we have no particular draft or any guidelines to see if UCC is actually implementable or actionable in our country. So today we'll discuss if it comes to action, what will like how the processes will take place and so on and so forth. So I would like to introduce our company, Rest the Case, and our CEO, Ms. Shreya Neeraj Sharma. She is CEO of Rest the Case. She's a lawyer, mediator, and founder of Rest the Case. And her vision is to make Rest the Case a one-stop solution for all things legal in India. She has studied law at Cardiff University, Wales, and she has founded this platform to make legal solutions and information accessible to all, no matter how big or small the problem is. And before we get ahead with the introductions and the debate, I would like all of you to see a short video about Rest the Case.
Rest the Case is a
Rest
legal aggregator platform. A one-stop solution for all services and information. If you have any legal troubles, want a legal service, or need to consult a legal expert, we can help you. Speak with our registered lawyers available at over 200 plus cities. To consult a lawyer, you can sign up or contact us. Click on Find Lawyer. Filter lawyers by specialization, location, or even PIN code. Get contact details of lawyers instantly, contact the lawyers on the website, or email. To speak to our team, call us at 928-429-3610 or drop us an email at info@restthecase.com. If you are not looking for a lawyer, you can browse through our knowledge bank to get legal tips, learn about laws in a simplified manner, and stay updated on legal news. That's not all. Check out our extensive library of document templates to access legal drafts. Just select the template you want, fill out your details, and download it to you. In case of any queries, contact us at 928-429-3610 or info@restthecase.com.
Yes. So, welcome to the debate. I will start with the advocate introductions. So, first up, we have. So, first up, we have. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
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 I don't know why there was an echo. Uh, so first up, we have Advocate Paramita Majumdar, who is an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India, and she brings over 12 years of experience in litigation and dispute resolution. She is also an arguing counsel and also often gets briefed in cases before various other high courts like Delhi High Court, Honorable Calcutta High Court, and Honorable Karnataka High Court. She has successfully represented in both private and public sector enterprises at various judicial and quasi-judicial forums in India. Next up, we have Advocate Manan Mehra, who is a distinguished practice based in Delhi in commercial and civil law. He is the go-to choice for persons involved in consumer disputes and more. Then we have Advocate Yogita Joshi, who is known for her sharp wit to crack complicated legal problems through her exquisite interpretational skills. She has also dealt with various issues in civil and criminal forum, especially in white-collar crimes, civil suits, family cases, and POXO cases in Delhi for over more than 5 years. And next up, we have Advocate Pavan Prakash Pathak, who is the managing partner at Vidik Nayak and Partners, specializing in constitutional practice in India. After graduating from Pune University in 2017, he founded this firm in 2019 in Delhi and has since accrued nearly 7 years of legal expertise. Welcome everyone to the debate. How are you all today?
Thank you so much.
We are good. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
So, I would invite all of you to put forward your points about the UCC from each of you. Thank you.
I think the four people can begin first. If Parumata would like to begin.
Yes, please,
Sure.
prosecution, please follow. Please open.
Sure. See, today I'm going to speak in favor of the UCC. Basically, I'll again say that the views are completely my personal. I do not expect anyone to agree with them, but yes, since I have a right to express my views. So I believe that UCC is a necessary requirement today because we have come ahead. We are now way ahead than before. We are an advancing country. It has long been pending, and at the time of the framing of our constitution, most of the leaders, I would say, barring a few, were in favor of UCC getting implemented in our country because uh, in their view, in fact, in my view as well, it will unite our country. It will not divide. It will rather increase the feeling of unity in our country because each and every citizen of this country will be subjected to the same laws. We are already subjected to the same laws in terms of criminal and civil. But when it comes to issues like marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption, then I would say there are some personal laws which are, you know, uh, prima facie discriminatory and they go against, equality of gender basically. So basically these kind of personal laws which are not fair and which perpetuate gender inequality are still there because our forefathers of our constitution, at that time they probably did not think that this is the right time to come up with the UCC, and they left it for the future generations to sometime in future realize the need of UCC and then take it forward from there. But I believe this is the time when UCC should come into picture so that we all stand together without going without some of the minority women going to the Supreme Court of India again and again, knocking the doors of the Supreme Court of India against some of the personal laws which are discriminatory in nature. For example, we have so many examples since 1985. We have Shah Bano case, we have Shaira Bano case, we have triple talaq, we have this payment of maintenance till the iddat period, all these things, because they are prima facie discriminatory, and that's why there are some sect of people who actually want them to be removed. But coming back to the implementation of UCC, I believe it should not be taken as a religion based change. It is going to be a national code. Some particular religion should not think that it is going against us or it is favoring one of the religions. No, it's not going to favor one of the religions. It is just going to be based upon the good and the reasonable and the fair points to be taken from all the stakeholders of the society, including all the religions, and then it should be drafted properly, and then it should be allowed in India. For example, we have this Goa Civil Code, which is, although I believe that it's a quite old code, it is coming from Portuguese time. But recently, I think our president has given assent to the Uttarakhand Civil Code, and it has got many good points. And we should actually, if we think of going ahead with the UCC, we should think of implementing those points. We should. It's not that we don't have a draft. We can always sit and prepare a draft by taking points from various other drafts, and we can have a national code. Just that it will take a little bit of time, and it will require the consent of all the stakeholders. Like, I am a firm believer of, you know, something, as Dr. Ambedkar also said at that time, that if it can't be done forcefully, UCC has to come with consent. So, in my opinion, if we give maybe 1 or 2 years time to the people, and we come up with the UCC draft, and we let them decide whether they want to get subjected to that UCC or not. After 2 years, we can change that particular draft into a law which will be then applicable all over India. Manan,
Yeah.
do you wish to add anything?
So I think we can have someone from opposition rebut to your points, and then I can go ahead if that's better, or I
Sure,
can continue for what.
sure.
Depends on the moderator. Depends on the moderator. Moderator is a judge over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I would also like to hear the other side as well now.
All right.
Okay. Yogita, if you permit, may I address,
Yeah, sure, sir.
please? Um, I I hope everyone clearly have a picture of the preamble. The first word it starts with "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute this country into a sovereign, socialist, secular, and a democratic republic country." That is who we are. The uniformity lies in the diversity. From Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha to Dravid, Utkal, Banga. This is what the uniformity of the India is all about. This is the uniformity where the diversity lies in. That's the reason we have, from the very freedom struggle itself, we've seen that uniformity lies in the diversity, and this is the constitution fabric is woven into this structure. This is what the diversity, what we are talking about, this is what we constitute India into. I have given, though the preamble, will not get into what preamble is and what we draw from the preamble, but this is what I am talking about. This is what UCC is dividing India. UCC is breaking this fabric, the very social fabric of the constitution, which the entire constitution is woven into. See, I've seen Pamita, what Pamita has already said. But we need to understand that all personal laws are not discriminatory in nature. Yes, we have seen from Shah Banu to Shaira Banu, from 125 maintenance to the triple talaq, we have seen the Supreme Court judgment. But painting the entire personal laws from one single brush will be the arbitrary, will be a very this will be a very arbitrary statement which Paramita has made. Yes, personal laws are already there. The Hindu Marriage Act is as good as the personal laws, as well as good as the Muslim personal laws. Yes, if there, and these all personal laws are the codified laws. They've been existing since centuries. Yes, there exist, if there are any anomalies with these personal laws, like we have already said, like since in Muslim personal law, the issue of maintenance was has arisen in Shreya Banu case. We have the Supreme Court has addressed that issue. Triple Talaq, Supreme Court has addressed that issue. So wherever there's an imbalance with the personal laws, the judiciary comes in. That is what the role of the judiciary is, to balance out. If personal laws lag somewhere, judiciary comes in and makes out a balance. This is what the entire this is what we are talking about. This is the reason we do not want the UCC. We want let that diversity, which is a unique and the golden pillar of the Indian Constitution, let it remain there. That's the reason we have from Article 25 to Article 30, we have freedom of religion. We have the articles which protects that. Though we say that in preamble that we are a secular, but secularism doesn't exclude the religion. It takes into all religion, and that's the reason. This is the beauty what I'm talking about. And if we see the Article 45, which says about the Uniform Civil Code, Article 44, though it's DPSP, and we know that what while like Paramita has already discussed about the torchbearer B.R. Ambedkar, what the Constituent Assembly was talking about while discussing the issue of UCC. So this is the reason that entire Constituent Assembly, while drafting the Constitution, is taken care of. Let that diversity be the unique feature of the Constitution, and we'll see in future if we have the opportunity, we have the resources, we will think to bring on the UCC and the Uniform Civil Code, but that stage is still not there in the India. We do not have the infrastructure and the proper resources to implement and execute the UCC at this point of the time. That's all.
Okay, Anand Mehra, would you like to add something to this?
Yeah. So, as you know, I'm be speaking for UCC, and I think it's important first I characterize what I believe a UCC would look like in India, what it should mean, and how uh, you know everyone in India presently has some weird idea or some unique perspective of how the government would bring it in, how it would impact people. But at its essence, UCC just means that regardless of what your marriage custom is called, it's called a nikah, it's called a shadi, it's held in a church, or you go move around a fire. That's all fine. That's all going to stay as it is. All that is going to change is that every person in every aspect of their personal life and in their property and in the succession and everything, they would follow the same rules, which means that if I am a woman in a relationship and I have three grounds available for me to get a divorce, the same three grounds are available to each other person. If I am allowed to remarry, the everyone is allowed to remarry. So everyone basically in their personal life and in terms of how property dwells are about to them or how they pass on their property, everyone is the same rules apply to everyone. The nomenclature is can be different, or it can be completely as it is right now. And the customs around the religious processes of how each particular ceremony takes place, that can still be in place. The rule book, however, has to be the same around how my legal rights pertaining to my personal life and succession and property are governed. Those have to be the same for everyone. And the reason for this is very simple, that as Pavan also pointed out first, that the idea of India came from the fact that we were supposed to be socialist, secular, democratic republic. Now, this secularism basically means that we don't have a state religion. Religion was supposed to exist in the background. Religion is supposed to be something that we fall back on. It is not supposed to be something that guides us. So if religion is not in the forefront of our laws, not in the forefront of our constitution, not the essence of our nation, then why should religion be given such a big turf as to govern all aspects of my personal life and all aspects of my lineage and how my property dwells around any person? So the idea of a uniform civil code, as uh, has been mooted since the independence, has been very strongly in the favor of a common rule book. It does not erode or take away any rights from you. For example, imagine, so different perspectives also exist in the world around criminal law and civil law. So a Muslim country might have a very different perspective on punishments and crime compared to India. Now, right or wrong, there's no real way to tell. Okay, what works for them, what works for them, what works for us. But imagine in India, if tomorrow a sect claims that, okay, if I have murdered someone, I will, I can only be subjected to, 1 year in prison because my religion only allows that much. My religion only allows me to be in prison for 1 year. So that's not how the game works. If you are a person in a society, you're a citizen of this country, the basic point of being in a society and for a society to function, as citizens we interact with each other on a daily basis, and we enter into contracts, we enter into different sort of personal relationships and agreements and everything. We will not be able to communicate with each other properly, or we will not be able to bind cohesively into a social fabric of a nation unless and until we have a common set of rules to abide by. Because I have to be sure that you think the same way about your the consequences of you doing something as I think. That has to be a common ground for to begin with. Only if we have that common ground laid off can we, progress from that front. So that is UCC for me. It doesn't mean that anyone's, you know, personal religious texts or religious practices or customs are affected in a way. It just means that simple basic things like marriage, divorce, succession, all these things are common for everyone. So we play by the same rules. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may add on a point to Manan's point,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what is happening is that people are uh, people are unnecessarily connecting the religion with law. We are not talking about religion. It is not about one religion. It is about fairness and equality. Something which is sounding extremely harsh, archaic, and unfair to you as a human being, but that is happening to a particular set of persons, then you yourself will start feeling that, if I am being subject to a law which grants me this kind of right under the Hindu Succession Act, then why can't, when I am also a citizen of this country, why can't I also have a good law which decides my interest, which decides my point, which looks at my point of view from the point of view which is taken by their law. For example, if you talk about Christian laws, in their law, there's a period of 2 years before which you can't take a divorce. Whereas in our Hindu law, we have a 1 year of separation. Similarly, there are other discriminatory laws in Christian laws. For example, a Christian mother does not get any share in the property if her children have not left a will. The whole property goes to the father. If the father is not alive, then to the siblings. So the mother doesn't get a right. In fact, there are other inheritance laws also, which are, they will sound patriarchal to you as a person. They will sound patriarchal, and we have come much ahead of all these things. Woman today is quite empowered, and she understands that, something which is being given to the other woman. of the other religion, why I can't also get the same kind of benefits under the law? Why? And that is why the majority of the women at the time of Constituent Assembly debates, the majority of women were actually supporting the implementation of UCC. And even today, if you see the judgments which are given by the Supreme Court, most of them have been the petitioners as the are the women, because that's the suppressed class. If women, if other women of the society are moving,
We lost Parumita.
Okay. Uh, if I kindly ask the moderator if is Yogita over there? Do we have Yogita?
I'm not sure we're trying to contact us. She's having some
Okay,
network.
that's all right.
You can
Okay,
go
then.
ahead.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Manan, and thank you, Parimita, for defining what UCC, what is UCC all about. See, just I mean, Manan has given a picture of how religion sets out in the foreground and secularism. Manan has tried to interpret the secularism in his own terms, but I will not rebut over that point because I will not rebut over that. We'll take that in the rebuttals. But as far as the overview of the UCC is concerned, and what is the understanding of the UCC, we are linking with the religion customs. So the religious customs, customary practices, these are this is what the entire private laws are based upon. The customary practices. If we remember, the laws are derived, there are the various sources of the law. The customary practices, the customary religious practices, these are one of the major source of the, or these are the major source of law when it comes to the private law channel, private law jurisprudence. So we cannot say that religion or the religious practices or customs do not form part of the laws. As Paramita said, the very well Article 13 of the Constitution very well says, and the Honorable Supreme Court in Shah Banu has very clearly said that the customary practices like it that and various other for the adoption, inheritance, maintenance, these there was a debatable question which arose in Shaira Banu case where so this Supreme Court said that in a very clear mentioning, they said that yes, it is the customary, the religious practices, the customary rules and practices are governed under Article 13. It comes under the sphere of Article 13, and that's the reason we have Article 25, Article 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. This is so all these are the basis of the core of the private laws. So what UCC is doing with this issue is that you are putting aside my religious and customary practices, and I'm not speaking for the minorities, let me say that. I'm not speaking for the minorities of Muslims, Christian, Parsis. I am also speaking for the Hindus who forms the majority in this country. So we have certain customary practices which I feel that which needs to be preserved, and this is what the Constitution gives me as a right under Article 22, freedom to practice, profess, and propagate my religion. This is what the golden thread when we talk about the Keshwananda Bharati, it says that the golden thread runs from 14, 19, 21, and it goes from the sides of 25 till 30. This is what the golden thread is, and this UCC breaks that golden thread which runs through the backbone of the Constitution, which is the golden pillar of the Constitution. This is what my issue with the UCC is. This is what the real issue is. We are not, see, religions and customs are not something which has come up, overnight. These are the traditions, customs, which we have a scientific. There is a scientific rationale behind these, behind my customary practices, behind my laws which are governing me. If I am a Hindu, there are certain customary Hindu marriage act we talk about. Why we have a 1 year separation period? Why the other religions have a different set of separation period, or there is a rationale behind it. There is nothing which has come up overnight and we are just following it. Though though the legislatures in their wisdom, they can create a law in their wisdom, they can do it. But the point is, the moot point of this, we are speaking for against UCC, is this is the reason that this is going to be an arbitrary action against my fundamental rights and against my religious practices, which I do not want to give up. This is what we are speaking from against the UCC. This is the problem that we have against the UCC. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Parvata, can I rebut? Or
I
you
think
want to
we
say
um
something?
I think we
Or
are
is
for
it?
I think we there was this a channel which we have to follow. I believe the necessity, the other things which
So let's dive deeper into the little complex parts of the UCC. So,
yes,
as the first one which we would like to discuss is the need for UCC. So, there are many laws in India where sometimes there is a part of people who think it's necessary, like how it happened with Article 370, which was for the vote mostly. So, like this, do you think there is a need for UCC in our country, or is it just fine without it? So, Advocate Fanan, you can maybe add your points about it.
All right. So, first, let's begin that the question of there being a need of UCC, right? So, where did this idea ever come from? Why are we having this discussion today? What is, someone must have really thought that we need a UCC, and that is why they put it in our constitution as a goal to look up to. Why this discussion came up was because at the time when India was getting its independence and this thing was being discussed in the Constituent Assembly, most of the leaders, including Nehru, Ambedkar, all of them were staunch supporters of UCC. There was no reason in their mind, there was no doubt or even an iota of second guessing about its fundamentality and its importance in the constitutional framework. Because India was never common set of people. We are a billion, not a billion, I mean, we are a thousand, type of cultures and practices and even customs and communities within the Hindu community itself. There are thousands of different uh, customary practices itself, and all of them have been combined into the Hindu code of framework. So, for example, if the Hindu law is applying to equally to Jains and Sikhs and other smaller practice areas of which maybe, or even Buddhists, for example. So in a way, all these religions, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, or you might not call them religions, or someone might refer to them as those, they have a common UCC as of now, which is the Hindu code. So the Hindu Marriage Act or the Hindu succession laws, which are applying to those other than Hindus, are having a UCC in the form of the Hindu bill, which is working perfectly fine. And why everyone is very, thinks of it as a good idea is that laws I can change. 20 years from now, the society will be different. We will have different perspectives on divorce, on succession, on whatever. Laws I can change. I can have my leaders change them in the parliament. The court can change them. How will I change a 1,000-year-old custom, which was okay, which was perfectly fine 1,000 years ago? But someone really wanted it to be present even in the modern society, and so it has lingered on. And now they're staunch supporters of it. But the fundamental problem with it is if the society no longer connects with that law, if that no longer reflects the sentiments of the society, then it ought to be changed. And look at it from this perspective that in India there are Hindus and Muslims. Okay, now Hindus and Muslims traditionally they have completely different laws. We had the Manu law, Manu's book of law, and the Muslims had the Sharia law. Even different sects of Muslim had probably different laws. So now if my personal laws are I'm forcing my religion on my per- personal laws. I can want myself to be governed by the Manu code tomorrow. Then Muslims can put for the Sharia code tomorrow. But that's not how it works. Our goal was to come together as a nation. It was not to staunchly protect our turf or our religious territories. It is a common perception that okay, we are losing our identity as people. We are losing this. We are losing that. You're not losing anything. No one is taking away anything from you. Your religious freedom does not extend to the turf of laws. Religion and law have to be separate. So you can't say that, okay, I want to celebrate Diwali, so I also want, uh, my marriage to be governed by this set of laws. No one is religious practices, customs, everything religion can be perfectly, aligned with a common set of rules that everyone will follow. That's what I have to say.
Advocate Paromita, would you like to add something to it?
See, my point always focuses on the point of consent. We are not here to impose some kind of laws on any particular sector. We want all of us to come together, sit, deliberate, decide, and give priority to reasonability, to equality, to fairness. If we all sit together and draft a proper UCC without having any sort of discrimination consisting in that UCC, and then apply that UCC to all the stakeholders, to all the citizens of the country, I think as a country we will feel really united. See, what I believe is that UCC will not affect the secularism at all, as Mr. Pawan himself highlighted about the golden thread. So that golden thread is not going away anywhere. We already have those articles. Article 15 is there, Article 25, 27. They are still there. They'll remain intact. They form the secularism, since in their domain it says that they form the the basic structure of the constitution. We are not taking that away. All we are doing is to move forward towards better secularism. We are going to make it a better secularism, and be an example to the whole world, show it to the world that we are a progressive nation. We all look towards the same direction. We subject our citizens to the same law without any discrimination, so that every now and then the highest court of the country is not being approached by different sets of people towards the discriminatory, because of the discriminatory actions taken against them because they belong to a particular religion. Again and again these kind of disputes will not arise, and we all will be subject to the same law. In fact, it will first of all, it will integrate us, it will unite us, it will create a feeling of equality amongst all of us, including the women, and it will give a very good lesson, very good message to the world as a whole, that India is progressing. India is adopting a law which is going to be applicable to all the citizens, like we have in other countries like United States, we have it in Turkey, we have it in Pakistan, we have it in we have it in Egypt. In fact, in our own country, Goa civil code is there. Uttaranchal is going to have it very soon. So it is. I am not saying that it is a matter of few weeks or few months or few years. It is definitely going to take time. When it is coming upon since so many years, at the time of framing of the constitution, the forefathers were discussing it. In fact, the whole of the Congress, including Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, they all were so in favor of the UCC, but it could not take place at that time. I am not suggesting that overnight something can take place and it can just convert into a law. I am saying that you give time to the people, create awareness, let them understand that it is not taking away anything from them. It is going to, in fact, give them more inclusion. It will, in fact, create a more, feeling of unity in them. Being India as a nation, it will bind them together. So we should actually, for example, let's say the special marriage act. A lot of a lot of children, a lot of people, a lot of couples who come from different religion, they choose to get married under special marriage act because they find it suitable under that act to get married, so that the marriage can be validated. So since they themselves have chosen it, I am going in lines of what Dr. Ambedkar said, that you give the choice to them. If a certain people from a community believe that this particular law is good enough, it is giving voice to their women, it is giving equality to their women and the male counterparts. The laws are similar. Then they can choose for the law. They can just voluntarily go and say that, listen, we don't want to go with the UCC, we want to go by this personal law. We will go by majority. If they really want to take it forward, then they can, because they have to give the consent. It is all going to be based upon the consent. It cannot be enforced without the consent of all the stakeholders. So in that manner, we can, think of having a UCC drafted. We can give it to the citizens, let them take their time. If they find that no, it is not working for us, then after a course of period, let's say 2 years or 3 years from now, we can think about implementing it as a law. We can give time to our citizens. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you implement it just now, but you start thinking about it. This is the generation which can think like that. We are all, technologically advanced. We are all modern now. Our women are not now just lying back and washing clothes and doing the household work. So our woman is quite advanced now, and she understands. The woman understands her rights, and that is, I will also tell you that, I won't name anyone, but there are many females in my office, in my in court, in my colleagues who actually do not are not in favor of their own personal laws. So when you take the public opinion, then you will realize that a lot of people do not, since, as Manan rightly pointed out, that these laws were enacted way back. At that time, the process of thinking was completely different, and they had their own logics. But with the changing society, we have to change our laws as well. So what was applicable then is not applicable today. So we have to think about advancing as a society, and not just sticking to some of the laws because some group of people want their customs to be given priority and not to the fairness and reasonableness of their own people. Not even about not It's not about other people. It is about their own people who are protesting against their laws. But still, they want to be rigid and they don't want to move forward. So any case, it's all about public opinion. We'll have to make a huge round of surveys, and we have to ask people. We have to take their opinion. It's going to take a lot of time, but yes, it is needed for sure. It is definitely needed.
I think Advocate Paramita has raised a very good argument that UCC is a choice. If it comes in future, that people will be given a choice if they want to follow UCC or not. So, I would like to ask Advocate Pawan if you would like to add something to this.
See, I take a different stand on this issue. Paramita and both Manan has talked about the origin of the UCC, how that Constituent Assembly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar discussing it. Then Manan also went ahead to talk about the Indian Succession Act, the personal codified laws. Then Paramita also added to it about that how religion will not be affected by it and the customary practice will not be affected by it. But I have a different viewpoint on this, both personally and both legally. Now, since I'm speaking for this, against the UCC, so I'll speak more of a legal point of view, not my personal views. My personal views may differ from this. This is what I'm speaking legally. So now, like whether there's a necessity of UCC, I can clearly see from both Manan and Paramita that Yes, necessity is there, but this is not the time that we implement the UCC. So at least we agree over this point of debate that yes. Now let's understand key why do we actually need UCC, or we can actually continue with the codified personal laws which are already existing. The religious, the customary practices, rules, I have raised this point earlier as well, that religion, my religion, I am governed, I am following my religious and customary practices. That is what the Constituent Assembly has understood. The entire, you see, the entire map of India, the entire, we have, we have, the India is a union of states. We have divided the states on the basis of the language. We have divided on the basis of, there's a division on basis of language, there's a division on basis of caste, there's a division on basis of the practices of each of these states. So this is what the basic idea of having, the union of states. So if if you are trying to bring in the uniformity in all these, different customary practices, you are actually violating the very core, the very basic structure, the very basic fundamental rights of the people, of the citizens of this country. I am following my succession, how my, let's, I am a Hindu, I am governed by the Indian Succession Act. Parsis are also governed by the Indian Succession Act. And now, if we see that the personal laws are already codified, those are the codified laws. We cannot brush the entire painting from the same brush just because the Muslim personal laws has some, there was some arbitrariness. There is arbitrariness in the some personal laws, but we cannot paint the entire painting from the same brush just because the maintenance issue exists in the personal laws of Muslims, just because there is the triple talaq issue in these Muslim personal laws or the other laws as well. We cannot say that just because these inequality or this arbitrariness exists in one or two part of the personal codified law, so we let go the entire personal law. We have something called as a doctrine of severability is already there. So if somebody is not happy with the personal codified laws, if I do not want myself to be governed by the Muslim law, let's say, I already under Article 25, I have a right. This right already exists. So what you are trying, the right to choose what you are trying to say is already exists. Though I am a Hindu, though I am a Muslim, Christian, Parsi, XYZ, I don't have any religion, but whatever is there, I already have that fundamental right of religion, profess, practice, and propagate. So we don't need UCC for that. What UCC is trying to do? This is what UCC is trying to do. You are given a right to choose, but I am already happy and I'm already being governed by my codified laws, which are already existing in practice. If there are some anomalies, then Article 32, right to fundamental remedy, is already there. Shah Banu approached, Shaira Banu approached, XYZ approached. You have a fundamental right. That is what the judiciary is sitting for. If there exists any arbitrariness in the codified laws, yes, it can be taken care of. But just because one or two anomalies are there, the entire law cannot be taken down. There's no need. People are now, we were talking this, my learned friend was talking about the consent. Hana, now this is what my argument is. Our consents, we are being governed, and we are happy with the religious practice and the customary practices which is being followed, and we are happy that we are being governed by that. In that practices as well, my religious and customary practices, we are happy with that. If somebody is not happy, you have a option to choose. You have a conversion laws over there. You can rightly convert yourself into, if you're not being happy with the Muslim law, you have a right of conversion. If Hindu is not happy, right of to choose the other religion is already there. So what UCC is trying to do is already exist in the that already exists in the constitution itself. That's the reason I'm saying. So now we're talking about the necessity or the lack. Um, is there any sect of population which is not governed, or any sect of population which is not being governed by their personal codified law? Answer is no. Every single one of being is governed by their own personal codified law. Hindu, Muslim, Christians, we have the personal laws which are already codified laws. Now, any any law which is being, any customary practices which is already, any practices which is arbitrary is being already taken care, which I've already addressed. Any customary practice which is arbitrary to the, the basic structure rule is already being taken care. We already have that. So we already have the regime in place. We already have the jurisprudence in place. And what uniformity we are talking about? The uniformity exists in the public jurisprudence law, not in the private jurisprudence. The private, the core of the basic structure, or the very at the time of the Constituent Assembly debates as well, the the committee, research committees and review committees, drafting committees have already discussed this in length, that the private laws, if we talk about the Lex Loci report in 1840, before the UCC, now this 21st Law Commission report, 22nd Law Commission reports, if we see that those reports and Lex Loci report of 1814 and the various other reports, we see that these the private laws, the jurisprudence of the private laws, this will be governed through the customs and the rituals and the practices which exist for different peoples. And so it is better that if it remains like that, this will retain the structure that we decided to have that in constitution. That basic structure will be retained. If we are trying to say that just we are trying to say that nahi, theek hai, since public law already exists which is applicable to everyone, now let's bring private laws as well into that domain, where private laws are also being governed through a uniformity. No, that argument cannot be raised. You have public law, we have public dealings. When you are in public dealing, you're already governed by one uniform code which already exists in the country. But let my private affairs be governed in the system in which I believe in, and not what you believe in. This is the reason that I am against the UCC. Let my private affairs be governed by my choice of religion, by my practice, my profession, my customs, which I believe in. This is what I'm consist of. Pavan Prakash Pathak, Hindu, believer of my Hindu religion, Hindu values, customs. This is what Pavan Prakash Pathak is all about. Hana, I am happy with my own customary practices, rules, religion, which is the basis of the private laws. So let it remain like that. I'm very happy to follow it. It should be like that. Private, and let's not confuse ourselves with the private and the public laws, which exist both in a different domains. This is the reason I do not feel that there's any need or necessity of having the UCC.
So I think Advocate Pawan ji has raised this question about emotions and beliefs that are laws, because each religion, as we discussed, they have a personal set of laws that has been followed for a long time. So this brings us to another question, which is being asked, that how will UCC convince people to follow it? Because there's a lot of religious sentiments and other things involved with these laws. So, Advocate Manan, would you like to add anything about the sensitivity, how sensitive the matter is, and if it's implemented, how it will convince people to go towards it?
See, first let's talk about. I'll answer this question only sensitivity, right? See, in India, everything from getting into the metro or having your wedding on the road or playing some announcement from your mosque, anything and everything can be made a sensitive issue. So something becoming a sensitive issue is not per se any of any legal importance, right? If there is polarization in a society, and in Indian society, it is a massive polarization exists. So something being made a hue and cry of, or something being made an issue around election time or for political gains is, and people being angry and violent about it, is not a criteria that we should have in mind. Because whenever we've given into this mass hysteria, we've only lost. And this mass hysteria is actually the only reason why there isn't a UCC today. At the time when it was supposed to be a fundamental right, actually, as per the Constituent Assembly. But there was such a hue and cry about it from marginal groups on every side, on in every religion, who felt that they will lose their influence and control over their followers. And you see today in India that we want to move to a more accountable, more professional, more systematic government style. But time and again, every time, the issue before elections and the debate and the talk on news channels and everything is never about the real issues per se. It's always about caste, religion, and who gets what, debates which actually have no real impact, and public expenditure on in, you know, spaces that should have been not a government expenditure. Government had no, business being there. So church and state being separate is a fundamental doctrine that is in every aspect of Indian legal framework. It is just yet to enter the personal framework, and it was supposed to be there had it not been for the sensitivity that every time this issue is brought up is created. So sensitivity per se is not something that we should be afraid of. Of course, people will, a number of people will be for or against. Those who don't want it will voice their opinions against it. Yet we have to move forward, is what I'm saying. That's all.
Advocate Paramita, would you like to add anything about the complexity and sensitivity of the UCC and what are challenges the country can
See,
face? When-
as a conclusion, I can only add on that, as Mr. Pawan said, it is about me and it is about you. I did not understand by using the word you what he means to say. But he says it is about me and I am happy. But the basic difference between his argument and my argument is that I am not talking about myself. I am talking about us. And when I say us as Indians, I include each and every man and each and every woman from all the religions. I want that the woman who's standing next to me, even if she is belonging to some other religion, she should feel equal like me because because her law and my law is same, and we are subjected to the same law. Now, let's say if there is a religion which allows the husband to get married to another woman when the first wife is still alive, assuming, okay. Now, if this kind of a customary practice is present in their law, in whatever customary law, then this will always create a sense of insecurity in that woman who is the first wife. She will always feel insecure, and the husband, will always have an instinct of getting married again. He will always have an instinct to exploit the first wife. He will always have an instinct, a natural instinct to, let the first wife think whatever she wants, and he will always be open to options. But I want to ask you, if you sit with five women, which woman will ever want her husband to get married and bring in another woman to her house in her presence? Nobody will. But if her personal law is allowing that, then she will have no other choice but to accept it. With a broken heart, she will accept it. This is just an example. So what I'm trying to say is that you take, you let these women come up. Please hear them, my dear friend. Please hear them. Don't just focus on your own opinion, being a Hindu, that you are happy and you are happy with the customary practices which are there in your law. And as my learned friend said, that the anomalies are not much. Anomalies are huge, I'm telling you. If you sit back and if you read the marriage laws, divorce laws, inheritance, maintenance laws, there are huge lacunae in these laws, which actually need deliberation and which actually need amendment. So why to sit separately and work on each and every law rather than sitting together, hand in hand, united, and decide what is fair, what is equal, what is going to make the nation, what is going to make the nation feel as Indians, not as Hindus, as Muslims. And I'm not talking about secularism. Please trust me. I'm completely in favor of secularism. I want my brothers, my sisters to practice their religion the way they want. They have all the liberty, all the freedom. Nobody is stopping anyone. And it is not about Hindu Muslim. It is just about uniformity. You remember when in our school days also, when we were divided in different what do you call them, houses. All those houses used to have their own uniformity. If one of the houses used to wear a green uniform, then we naturally used to feel good seeing our friends wearing the same green uniform. We used to unite, we used to sit together, have lunch together. That kind of unity is what the nation wants. I won't call it uniform civil code, I will call it national civil code. National civil code is about India. It's not about just Hindus, just Muslims, just Christians, and it is not about their personal laws at all. And if you talk about the Lex Loci report, obviously the Britishers wanted us to be divided. So that's why they never touched the customary practices. They never touched the personal laws. They just left it there. They left it on us. You deal with it, get divided, divided. They would have never wanted us to unite because that was their way of ruling us. But when Pandit Nehru came and he wanted the UCC to be there, then there were few marginal groups which did not allow it to take place. And these are the only groups which are till date very rigid about it. And what happens is the moment we start talking about uniform civil code, some of these sectors become uncomfortable and they feel that this is about imposing one religion over other. But trust me, it's not about that. It's just about being fair and being reasonable and giving a message to the world that we are united, we all are having the same laws governing us, but united, but still different. Why? Because we all have the right to practice our religion. Let's separate law and religion. My dear friend, it is going to be a very, very peaceful country and it will start thinking about issues which are way higher than this rather than deciding that some person is giving saying talak 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 thrice and giving divorce to her wife or anything else, or any Christian laws are discriminatory towards the mother and favoring the patriarchal society. We will talk about development, we will talk about scientific advancement, we will talk about research and development. Let's come ahead of all these. That's all I have to say. And we have to have a wider perspective. Don't just shut the doors. I am only requesting, please open the doors, at least give it a chance, look at it. If you think we are giving enough time to everyone is what I am proposing. Although I am no one to say this, but this is I am just proposing. Give time to everyone. Make surveys, make huge surveys, take opinions from every house, from Nizamuddin till GK. Take opinion from every house, every person, every citizen. Let them say whether they are happy with this rule or not, and then implement the UCC. We are not taking away anything from anyone. In fact, Hindus have so many practices which are discriminatory. We should work on those also. It is not that it is only about some of the culture, some of the religions. So please, I am only requesting that we should look towards one direction. We should think about it, sit and do our homeworks, come up. All the legal stalwarts should sit together. They should take views from everyone, and then come up with some ideas about implementing the UCC. Not without taking the consent from all the sectors.
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
yeah, I think we have now quite debated about the different topics. So there are actually there's a lot of questions coming in from the audience.
I'll, I'll just yes. Since my learned friend has already told about the necessity about it, the complexity and the necessity of this UCC, I think it becomes important for me to answer that issue, to answer my learned friend's question as well, in the understanding of the UCC. Karam. The UCC, we are very well know that what UCC covers up. What UCC covers up? UCC covers up my marriage. UCC covers up my divorce. UCC covers up my maintenance. Covers my succession. Covers every single thing which is already which my personal laws are already there. This is what the UCC is all about. So if or you already have the codified laws existing in the system, you have this. If you already have the rule of law which is already there in the personal laws, so rule of law and these personal laws are no different. This is what the law constitutes, Article 12 and Article 13. This is what the law is about. If there exist any discriminatory practices, be it any sect of the be it any sect of the population or the religion, those differences or those arbitrariness can always is being taken care of. Anyone who's being whose fundamental rights or who's being affected, whose equality is being affected, is being taken care by the judiciary. This is what the entire issue is about. I am so this this is what UCC is not. We already have the codified law in place which is already governed by the rule of law. We do not need any. What uniformity we are talking about? What uniformity? This must. So what sect of you are? So let's see Hindu Marriage Act. All Hindus are, or so the definition of Punjabi, Sikh, Jains, Buddhists are already governed in that. We already have a codified law, which is already uniformity, which is being, which is being implemented as a unified code, as which is a unified code only. So that is being taken care of the one sect of population. So when we talk about the Article 14, the Article 14 we talk about the equality. Now, what is equality? You cannot bring the equality is always among the equals. You cannot bring someone from the so this equality has a one from who belong to same group of people. Not now all these religions, customary practices exist in a different realms altogether. So those groups together form one religion. If we talk about Hindus as a one class, Muslims as a one class, Christians as a one class, you already have that is what equality is. If you are trying to group them into a one under the the purview of the Article 14, no, it's not so. You will bring the different classes in a one class. That cannot be done. Not even the constitutionally you can do that. Now if you talk nice, my learned friend would say that yes, UCC for the Uttarakhand and Goa is already there. That is already under the challenge and that will be taken care of. That is not what we are debating on. Yes, the and now yes, the now let's talk about the dynamic nature of the law. The very fundamental nature of the law is dynamic itself. It keeps on changing. If we have certain problems, if we have certain problems with the practices, rituals of any of the religion, it will evolve. This is how the law evolved. This is how the constitution evolved. It was written way back. The constitution was written way back. But still, every single day, the Supreme Court sits over there, Bhagwan Das Road, and interpret the laws, interpret the constitution every single day. Every single day, we argue about Article 14, 19, 21. We every single day there is this is what we talk about every single day in the Supreme Court. So let's not get into that. This is a very minute argument that just because the discriminatory practice exists, the entire law has to go out. No, that cannot be done. It is never the rule of law which says that severability is already there. The other doctrines are also already there, which is already there to take care of. It is This is the reason I'm saying that we do not uniformity is not bringing, which is not equal or which is not the common practices. That is not the uniformity we are talking about. If we already have the uniformity in terms of Hindu Marriage Act, we have a uniformity in terms of the Muslim Personal Laws Act, we have uniformity in terms of the Christian laws, personal laws, which is already in there. That is what I'm calling as a uniformity. This is what uniformity is. Any other thing in this private domain will not be uniformity. That will be the arbitrary. That will be the arbitrary decision. If we talk about the Uttarakhand UCC, yes, there is problems with the Uttarakhand UCC. We have. Let's talk about the live-in relationship which the UCC of the Uttarakhand governs. Now, whether this issue of live-in relationship was not being taken care, the DV Act already takes care of the this live-in relationship. Now the live-in relationship under the UCC says that you have to register. If any couple who's not married but still living in a relationship has to register them. What about the equation that somebody who's not in a relationship but still living in? I have a friend I'm living with. How do I now? If somebody for third person, I've not registered, third person comes in from the society and says that yes, they are living in, they are, they are in a live-in they are living under a live-in relationship and they have not registered. So he believes it that it is a live-in relationship. So he goes, makes a complaint. Police comes to me. The burden is upon me to prove that the burden is upon me to prove that no, I'm not. And how do I do that? I do not know. Second problem is then we see the registration. Now the applicability of that UCC on the the state-wise UCC applicability of the Uttarakhand. Now whosoever resides over there, or those who are the citizens of the Uttarakhand but still staying outside the state boundaries, they're also governed by that. For the time period I have few years I've lived in the Uttarakhand, I've taken the domicile, I've moved out, still I'm being governed by that. So there are various difficulties. I have moved out, I have not registered it, so I'm being penalized for that. how how arbitrary does it sound? I have to register myself, I have to register my marriage, I have to, if I'm not being registered, then I'm being penalized for that. Then what sort of uniformity we are talking about? So this is the reason I'm not in favor of the uniformity which this civil code is talking about. Uniformity already exists in terms of the personal laws. It is just that we need to, just enhance those laws, bring more in terms of, we bring more in terms of constitutionality. That's it. If any arbitrariness exists, it can be corrected. That's it. And you already have the tool, and you already have the tool in that existing laws which are already there to correct those arbitrariness over there. So this is what the reason I do not believe, I'm not a strong supporter of the UCC as per the point of law. This is what my entire argument. This is what the complexity is about the UCC.
See,
Yes.
Mr. Pawan, you answered my question only. You just said that if I am not in Uttarakhand, then also I'll be penalized for not getting my marriage registered. This is what I am saying. If you bring uniformity, then no matter where you are, which sector you belong to, the law will be same. It will apply to you similarly. You don't have to bother about being somewhere and belonging to some other sector, and your personal law is different, so your rights will be different. Then you will be in a dilemma. What should I do? My counterpart from the other religion, she is enjoying this kind of right, but I can't. Or maybe he is enjoying that kind of right, but I can't, being a male or a female.
That
So
right already exists.
that is my point. If you make it uniform, I am not saying make it arbitrary. I am saying make it uniform. Sit together. The representatives of all the religions should sit together with the legal stalwarts, and they should draft a particular document called as UCC, a national code, a uniform civil code, which will be applicable to all the citizens in the same manner. This is all I'm propagating for. And as you also suggested conversion, Why should a female get converted to some other religion just because she's facing some difficulties in her personal laws? That is not correct on your part. That should not be the correct.
It's a fundamental
No,
right. This is
conversion
a
is not the
fundamental right.
solution, my dear friend. Conversion
This
is
is
not the
fundamental
solution.
right, Paramita.
If
This is a
if no
fundamental
no
right.
no no no, but conversion can't be a
It's
solution to a problem. If there is an
Paramita,
inherent
it is a
problem in a law, conversion is not a solution. If she wants to remain in that religion only, but she still feels discriminated, then is that a solution that she converts to religion? No, that's not a solution, my dear friend. I'm only saying that you first of all you locate the arbitrary laws, and then you sit together and you come up to a consensus. You decide that this is fair or this is unfair. If this is fair, if this will be in the direction towards which we all are looking at, and it is giving equal rights to the males and the females of the society, then we should have this kind of a law being there in place, rather than going for something which is coming from a very ancient times, and which has got no logic in today's youth's mind. If today's youth applies its mind and it says that, you know, this kind of a law does not make any logic, it does not make any sense, it should be left on the youth also. We should actually appoint some very good representatives, some intellectuals from all the sectors, including the young generation, the older generation, these legal stalwarts, the religious sectors. We should call pandits, we should call maulvis, we all should sit together and we should decide that in when you come up with a term called humanitarian grounds, what is sounding more reasonable to you? How do you give equal rights to the males and the females of the society? And then you decide it. Because there are many personal laws which are very, very arbitrary and which actually deserve to be scrapped off. But they are still, going on, and they are still valid because some of the sectors do not want to move ahead. And it is not that some other people are saying it. It is their own people who want to raise their voice, who do not like their own laws. But they do not have a choice. They don't want to convert themselves. They don't want to. They want to stay there. But they are being accused of not following their personal laws, and they are being discriminated. So this is all I am saying, that please be united. Don't be divided. UCC is for uniting, it is not for dividing. We all should sit together, and nobody is taking away the right to practice your religion. In fact, अगर आप बाहर जाके दुनिया को ये बोलते हैं कि हम इंडियंस हैं, we are not Hindus, we are not Muslims, we are not Christians, we are Indians, but within India हमारा अपना एक धर्म है, हम जिसको फॉलो करते हैं. धर्म और कानून को आप अलग अलग लेके चलिए. कानून is all about what is right, what is wrong. Dharam is all about your religious practices, which is very near to your heart. It should never be affected. I am telling you. I
Miss,
would
Very
never
well,
want anyone on anyone's religion to get affected.
sorry to
very well,
interrupt. We
Paramita.
are running short of time, so we'll just take a few audience questions and
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
I'll just take a minute. I'll just take a minute. I'll
Sure.
just take a
Sure.
minute.
Let's just take one
Sure.
question each and wrap up.
I'll just take a minute and then we'll move on to the audience question and answers. And now,
Yeah.
Paramita, when we see the preamble of the, when we go to the Supreme Court and we see the logo of the Supreme Court over there, what does it write? Dharmo Rakshata, Hana? So religion and laws are together. They are not. They don't
No.
exist in a
Dharma
different ways.
Rakshita doesn't mean
What
some
Paramita
arbitrary laws can
laws?
be practiced.
Paramita, the laws
Your
which are
definition is
already
dharam. No.
which are
Dharma,
already
no,
existed
no,
in
no.
place. Your
No. If
all
that was the
laws,
case, if
religion
that was
and
the
laws
case,
goes together.
Pavan, if that was the case, then Supreme Court since 1985 to till 2018 in various judgments would have not suggested that, we need a UCC, we need a UCC again and again. Supreme Court would have said, no, don't go for a UCC. We are sitting idle here. Come, please come. We will decide your Article 14. We will decide it. We will scrap up the constitutional validity. We will look at it. Supreme Court has been urging it vociferously since 1985 that we need a UCC again and again in each and every case. When Supreme Court sees it, it says, but your Article 37 doesn't give any judicial interference because it's a directive principle. Because it's in Article 44. So the Supreme Court can't do anything. It is the legislature which has to change it. And
That is correct.
the legislature has to take steps. And I am only proposing the steps which can be taken towards it. Let's, without
Paramita, being
shutting our
very
doors,
well,
let's not just be very rigid and just shutting our doors to advancement, and keeping ourselves only to what has been followed till now. Let's open our doors to the changes. Let's make a survey. Let's
let
everyone come
That's
up
all
and
right.
give their
I got your
suggestions.
issue. I got your point. I got your argument. See, Parimita, you and I may differ over religion and laws,
Yes,
whether they exist together or whether they exist in a different realm altogether. But that is that is our personal understanding. But that is our
yes,
personal understanding. But as far as you are talking about that having a uniformity in terms of these laws, which are having a uniformity in these laws. So uniformity already, I'm saying that uniformity already exists,
yes.
and uniformity already exists in that rule of law. Let it, let's not. And what sort of a legislation you're talking about? You are talking, Paramita, you very well know that how legislatures work, how legislatures function, and how the invitation, how the public opinions are invited, how the public opinions are invited. So what you are propagating or what you are recommending, we can never have that
Pawan,
in place. That we are going everywhere and we are having that sort of discussions with everyone and having that. No, we cannot have that. The 21st Law Commission reports negated it. What Supreme Court had said, Supreme Court. So that is not the bindingness. So Supreme Court, and though has touched upon the issue of UCC in the various judgments, be it Shah Banu or Shaira Banu or any other judgments, they have touched upon that. They've left it to the wisdom of the legislatures and to be decided upon the
I
legislatures
think
who
Manan also has something.
remember it.
I think Manan also has something to say.
guys, what I'm saying is, let's. We've been interacting amongst us a lot of
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
right?
Let's take
We're
questions. Yeah,
different
yeah.
point. So I think
Ask.
I'll just begin with this question on the screen, and we
Yes.
can one question each. It's nice to interact. We're always just talking amongst each other. Then what's the
Yeah,
point?
it is.
So the
So,
question
and
is, if the aim of UCC is to bring reformation and upbringing women, then why don't we directly reform personal laws itself, just like triple talaq was declared unconstitutional? So it's actually the center point of this debate and the contention between both the parties as of now. So Pavan has hinted at this thing already, and we have also responded. Like I have responded in a way saying that I would not favor a piecemeal approach of reforming each and every personal law, even though that's also an excellent approach. But why I would want straight away a common civil code. So my reason is very simple. You can't take away. Uh, so if there's 100 thorns in a rose and you're trying to, you know, you want to hold the rose or you want to get rid of the thorns, removing a couple of them here and there, you will always realize there's more thorns than you've removed. For example, you've removed triple talaq from Muslim law. All right, that's an excellent move, much needed. It was long due, perfect. But there is still a very big issue fundamentally. For example, whereas Hindu and Christian communities and religious texts regard marriage as a sacrament, it is a sacrament for Hindus, Saat Janam, and it is a sacrament in the Christians. But according to Muslim personal laws, it is a contract. So the fundamental understanding and the base of a relationship, which is in essence a legal relationship. Marriage is a legal relationship. Your bonding with your partner or your personal relations with your partner are your own domain. There's no law that comes into your bedroom. But marriage is a legal relationship, and that legal relationship can't be based on very different starting points for different people. So unless there is a common starting ground, we'll just keep on removing thorns and finding out that more are coming up and then removing them as we go forward. So right now we've talked about triple talaq being removed. Tomorrow we'll talk about the multiple marriages that are allowed being removed. Or within Hindu laws, there's a problem that the wives' successors don't get property in case of death. It is the husband and then the children, and then even then there's the husband's and relatives. So
Classes of classes of age,
more,
yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
so there is more thorns that will keep popping up, and we'll just try to remove them piecemeal, whereas a standard code will, solve the problem from the start. And solving the problem from the start is the way that we what we have right now is there, that whatever we've achieved right now is because at one point in time after independence, people really got together and said that all right, you will have to follow this act. You will have everyone, regardless of till now whatever you've been following, you've been Sharia, you're following your Manu code, you're following your personal state laws. Every kingdom had their own laws. Every small kingdom state had their own laws. But now it doesn't matter what you personally feel your law has been or should be. You will have to follow this criminal code, this contract act or whatever. So at one point, we did decide that regardless of whatever we feel about how we should be governed, we will be governed by this set of code, and that understanding has to come in this aspect as well. All right, thank you.
See, in order to
So,
under, in
yeah, yeah.
order to
You can this
understand,
question.
so in order to understand where the thorns are, Manan, we have to also identify the problems which exist. How do we identify those problems? That's the reason in personal laws there exist problems, and we are identifying those problems. And now we are identifying that which are the practices which are already, which are arbitrariness, which is not in consonance with the constitution. We are identifying it. But what is the guarantee that we have the UCC in place and UCC will be free of thorns? No, it can never be so. Name, for example, Nirbhaya rape kand. The issue of juvenility was taken into consideration, that the age of juvenility to be reduced from 18 to 16, then the crime rate will come down. But what has happened? The other thing has happened in place. We've reduced the age, but the crime rate has already gone up. So let's identify the problem and let's remove it. And uniformity already exists, so this cannot be a solution that he can bina without identifying those issues. Let's have a let's have a uniform code. We cannot do
Point,
that legally.
guys. We have to also go and vote. So let's wrap up.
Yes. So the
Yeah.
second question, Advocate Paramita, would you like to answer
What is the question? I'm sorry.
this one, which is being displayed on the screen?
Can you give examples of how a UCC has been successfully implemented in other countries with diverse populations? See, I've already given example of few of the countries which already have a uniform civil code, like Pakistan and Turkey and United States and Egypt. So I think,
With diverse population.
see, with diverse population, probably India is going to be a country which is a diverse country. It has got various sectors, various religions. So we definitely are going to be probably the first ever country. I'm not sure about the other
No, there is none.
countries
There is none. There is
which
none
are
with the diversity. There are none with the diversity.
yes. All the more it's a reason that we can actually give an example to the nation that being a diverse country, we are following when it comes to laws, we are following a uniform code, and we will do it with full dedication and supporting. What I said is, in all fairness, the reasonability and equality.
But we see, and again, if we have a UCC, let's see the Schedule 7 of the Constitution, whether it lies in the union, whether it lies in the state list, or whether it lies in the concurrent list. So now we have the Goa and we have the Uttarakhand. So now this UCC, which is there, is I presume that it is in the state list, and it is a state wise that each and every different states will have a different UCC altogether. Then
Yes.
how uniformity? Then how can we say that this is a
See, let's
uniformity of
let's
civil
wait.
codes?
I think let's wait for
I'm just saying,
Uttarakhand civil code.
let's
Let's wait for
understand this.
Uttarakhand civil code because I'm
No,
sure
I'm
even
just
Uttarakhand has both all population from all the religions.
Paramita, what I'm saying is, if UCC would have been on this, concurrent list, or if it would have been on a union list and union making a uniform civil code for the entire
Hmm.
country, then the implementation would be different.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
now the problem
Yes,
is that we have a state wise, and we do not know how different states would come up with their own
yes,
UCC codes.
yes,
Then there will be no uniformity. Then the very objective will be destroyed of the
yes, yes.
UCC.
No, no. So,
This is
so,
the
so,
problem.
so in that case, as I said, it is going to take time. So
No, but
let us
it
wait.
is in the
Let us,
state list. It is in the
yeah,
state
yeah.
list, Paramita. It is in the state list.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of amendments will be required to make in order to get the UCC implemented. But let's just wait for Uttarakhand. Let us see. Let India see how Uttarakhand functions after this code comes into place, and then we can take some of the tenets from their civil code, and we can think upon it as a central law on the central level. We can think about it.
Yeah.
We need to amend the
As I'm
constitution.
saying again and again, it is not a job of overnight. It is going to take a lot of time, but we should at least start thinking rather than just closing our doors on it. That no, 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 we will not move ahead. We will not have anything different. No, no, let's just continue with what we have. Let us keep the burden on the Supreme Court. Let us burden the judiciary, which is already burdened with so many litigation pending with these kind of issues also. So let us
Laws are
try to
already
think together. I am not
laws
saying
are
it is
already
about a political party. In
no. It is
fact, if UCC comes into picture, it will also reduce the vote bank politics. I think it will help us to reduce that vote bank, this religion-based voting. So let's wait for it. In fact, I believe France is a country where UCC is it already exists, and I think France also has a diverse population. I'm not sure about it, but I just think that France has a diverse population and it has UCC and it is functioning properly. We can
So
take examples from all these nations. We can sit and jot down the points and we can start thinking at least.
yeah. So we'll take one last question for
Sure.
Advocate Pawan. It is on a legal level that if UCC is implemented, how will it impact the family lawyers? So,
okay. How would
like
a
how it has
UCC
happened with
how would a UCC impact the
the
way
live-in.
lawyers practice family law in India? Again, if I have to answer this, yes. If we have a UCC in place,
Burden
then
will be lesser.
if we have a uniformity in place, then it will be a fantastic for the lawyers, for specifically for the family lawyers, that they whatever adoption, maintenance, inheritance, every single thing would be covered in a one single code, and we have a. I'll say it's all about. So we'll have a pesa, and that's
Pawan,
what.
we'll be reading lesser. We'll have
No,
just one code to read. Don't
ah,
burden the lawyers so much. They have to read a lot.
and we can, and this is what we are about. We are all about reading it and having. So, but yes, it would. Yes, it would be a good practice. I'll say, when a uniformity is already there, I'm not arguing. I'm not speaking for the. Not speaking against it, but yes, from the lawyer's perspective, it will be good because he'll be having a single code. Single code for the entire citizen. So yes, it will be a good one. And plus, we can always. Paramita said about the burden upon the judiciary. Yes, then it can be taken care of. It will be reduced. Yes. So from both legislature's point of view, executive and the judiciary point of view, yes. And lawyers, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it will be impact
So
on the lawyers.
yeah. So I think this was a very very great debate, and we discussed so many things about the UCC and what all things might happen if the UCC is implemented and the different perspectives. So thank you all for joining in for this insightful debate, and the audience was also very
Thank you.
in into the conversation as I was going through the comments. And I hope you all also had a great time with us.
Yes, yes, definitely. It was a very great time. Now we will exercise our right to vote in the country, a very
Yes.
important right which we have. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much for giving us
Uh,
the opportunity.
please stay back before the after the live stream ends. And yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining in, and we'll come up with another event very soon, and hope to see you all again.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Pawan. Thank you, Manan.
you
Thank you.
everyone.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you everyone.